Hello, everyone. Welcome back to AM and the PM podcast. This is Melina.
This is Ariel. How
And
y'all
today,
doing?
today we're super excited to be talking about some really cool new content. Today, we're going to be talking
Yes,
about Antman, which we actually saw together because we were
we did.
together this past week, which is exciting. Um, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about Outer Banks, the new season of
Mhm.
Outer Banks. And we're gonna have like we're gonna talk about Ant-Man, talk about it spoiler free, and then like a spoiler section, and then we'll do the same with Outer Banks. So if you
Mhm.
haven't watched either of them, there will still be a section that you can listen to. Or if you don't care, I guess listen to it as well. But
Right, it doesn't matter.
yeah, so I guess like let's just jump right in. Let's talk about Ant-Man, right? So we
Okay.
saw it once. I honestly kind of want to go see it again because I feel like so much happened, and maybe I should
Mhm.
watch Loki season one. Which
Mm.
if you haven't seen Loki season one and you also haven't seen Ant-Man, you should probably watch Loki season
Yeah.
one. But what were
Yeah.
your like overall spoiler-free thoughts?
Okay, honestly, I liked it. Despite I didn't understand the critiques of everyone being like this movie sucks and it's awful. It's one of the worst movies that have come out this
Yeah,
phase and I'm like, no, I don't agree. I genuinely, because I thought there was going to be a point where I was like, wow, this really sucks. And I'm going to be really bored
yeah,
if people are saying that. And then I watched and I was like, this movie kept my attention the whole time.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, sure, there were moments where I was like, this wasn't necessary. But I was like, besides that, I thought it was great. Sure, you could say the jokes were corny, but I like corny jokes. They were funny.
And that's also
Like,
Ant-Man. Like it fits.
yeah, I'm like, and some of the jokes, I mean, most of the jokes like landed. Like there wasn't like I can't even remember if there was a joke that I was like, that wasn't that funny. But I'm like,
Mhm.
most of the jokes landed. Like Paul Rudd does great comedic
He's
delivery.
hilarious.
That's basically been his career, like all of his life.
Hmm.
So I'm like, he's good at comedy. Like, and so I was just like, I didn't understand the critiques of like everyone thinking that it was awful and that it was like one of the worst movies of this phase because I don't agree. I think it was good. I think the pacing was good. And I remember we talked about that in the car. Like, I feel like for what the movie was about, the pacing made sense to me.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah. And Jonathan Majors, 10 out of 10. Like,
Incredible. He has this.
just,
We were talking about how he has this way of like portraying controlled anger, which is like a
mm-hmm.
really hard thing
Yes.
to do because when you think of anger, I feel like a lot of the time you think of like explosive anger, and it
Yes.
actually kind of reminds
Like
me.
reactive.
It reminds me
Mm-hmm.
of the conversations we've been having about like feminine rage,
Mm-hmm.
like and what it truly is versus how it's portrayed in media, and it's giving a little like feminine rage, like the way that,
Yeah.
which maybe is why I'm kind of like I like, you know.
Yeah, because it's like he kind of does a balance of both.
Hmm.
Like he can absolutely contain his anger while then also like freely expressing it at the
Yeah,
same time. Um, like there are moments where like I was kind of like, wait, does he think this is funny? But I'm like, no, it's because he's actually really pissed off. Like
hmm,
it's like he was trying not to like explode like in the moment. And I was like, this is really
hmm,
good. This is good. And Kang is just a very interesting villain because it's like there's like you're still kind of like, I still don't know much about him, but like he's scary, you
yeah,
know? Like he's scary in a way that's like it's not like trying to think of like the other villains. It's not like Thanos, I guess, in a way. Thanos was just very much like, yeah, I'm evil. And he just like comes in and just like, I am who I am. And it
hmm,
was just evil. Kang is kind of like, okay, like, can I trust him? Can I not trust him? He's evil, but somehow he's kind of making it look like he's not. But like,
hmm,
you have to like really listen to what he's saying
yeah,
to really be like, oh, wait, he's crazy. Oh,
hmm,
wait, he's actually insane.
yeah,
Um, he just did that really well. Just kind of like King makes you uneasy. That's what it is. It's kind of
yeah,
like you don't know what he's going to do because he could either be like really calm and you're just holding your breath waiting, or he'll just like not do anything, or it's like he just immediately does something and you're like, whoa, okay, did not
yeah.
see that happening.
I was saying this in the car. He kind of reminds me of the Joker, who is one of my favorite villains. I think partially because of Heath Ledger and the way that he
Mm-hmm.
acted the Joker in The Dark Knight. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And like there's this one line that he says that was like my Twitter bio when I was when I was in high school for like the longest time, a
I'm
Joker quote.
weak.
It was I'm just a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. And for some reason I've always just really liked that line
Mhm.
because it's just so interesting to see. I mean, I think King definitely has motives that we don't know about, but it is kind
Yeah.
of interesting to see a villain that's like there's a lot at stake, sure, but I
Mhm.
almost like it's not that I don't care, but I kind of don't care. And that's kind of what
Yeah.
it feels like with Kang, and it builds like suspense where you're like I really don't know what you're about to do next because
Mhm.
it feels like you have nothing to lose, you know?
Yeah. Like
And then
he doesn't.
therefore
And that's what's
you could do
crazy.
anything. So,
Mhm.
yeah. I also saw people comparing it before I saw it to Love and Thunder, which I feel is very disrespectful to this Ant-Man movie
Yeah, it's
because Love
not
and
first of all, it's not the same vibe at
no.
all.
Love and Thunder was very weird. We also saw
Yes.
that together because you were here.
Yes.
Um, it I feel like it had a lot of potential, but it tried to do too much.
Mhm.
Um, I thought Christian Bale was fantastic.
Yes, I
I think
agree.
it doesn't help that I don't like Jane Foster. Nothing against Natalie Portman. I don't like Jane
Right.
Foster specifically. I think her and Chris Hemsworth have no chemistry.
None.
Um, and spoiler, when she died, I was like, I don't care. Like I
And I like and the thing is when I saw Love and Thunder, I knew that plot point was gonna be a thing because people had talked about it for years
yeah,
about how they were introducing like female Thor and how it was actually Jane Foster and she only becomes female Thor because she's sick. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I was just kind of like, whatever. Like it wasn't very shocking to
yeah,
me. Um, so
yeah.
yeah,
I think
I
like
would not say it is the same. It is definitely not the same.
no, I feel like the stakes are different in this movie. One, because it's building into the next phase, so it's like
Yeah.
very relevant. Whereas Christian Bale's character, I forget his name, like now is gone, so it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really matter that much. I mean, I guess like you have like the Greek gods and whatever who came in, um, but with this, I think another thing in addition to that is like the believability and the chemistry between the characters, and I don't even necessarily mean romantic. I mean like
Yeah.
his chemistry, like his parental chemistry with his
Mhm.
daughter was
Yeah.
so good. Like it was so
Yeah.
believable. Like him kind of willing to risk whatever to save her was very moving to me,
Mhm.
I think.
I still I still wanted to be the original daughter, but, you can't
Yeah.
have everything.
I don't know why they changed her. I wonder what the reasoning for, especially if they knew that they were gonna make her into like whatever the magical
Apparently,
girl.
even the girl who played the original Cassie didn't know until everyone else saw it on social media. Like, she saw it on social media just like everyone else. And I was like, "That's trash."
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know if they wanted, like, a more well-known actress. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think there are a lot of scenes that were like, "That's a word." Like, that's very moving.
Yeah. Let's get into the spoiler section. We can
Mhm.
talk about some of the scenes. So if you haven't seen it, get out. I don't know. We'll go skip a
Yeah,
couple of minutes
skip to
to
yeah.
whenever it is that we start talking about Outer Banks. That one scene where he's in like the probability whatever thing,
Yes, that's
and
exactly the scene I'm talking about.
he's like drowning in himself, and then all of a sudden they start like building together. And then
Mhm.
Kang is watching from the outside and he's like, how are they doing this? And he says something along the lines of like, it's because we're
We
all
all want the same
we
thing.
all want the same thing. That's exactly what he said. And
And I was like, "Woo!"
I was like, that is good. That is
That
really good.
is so good. Especially because it literally is exactly what, like, my godfather has been preaching about, like, agreement and, like, unity,
Hmm.
like, there's strength and power in unity, and I was like, "Wow, I'm about to run a lap in this movie theater."
Yeah.
It was so great.
And it also kind of makes me think of like how the decisions that we make in life, whether or not they end up being a mistake or like the right decision, if we're constantly, our heart is like working toward the same thing, we're gonna end up where we need to be. Like it's
Yeah.
all gonna come together. Um, and I think the foil to that, it wasn't even necessarily King. It was whatever her name is, Hope's mom, what's her name? Janet,
Yes.
was in such disagreement with them the entire time. And I just like this idea of I'm gonna hide stuff from you to protect you is very annoying to me.
Yeah.
Um,
I was just like, all of this is your fault. Like, this is all your fault.
like,
Like,
how are we in the quantum realm and you won't tell us the truth? Like you're mad at me for asking because she's like, you guys should have trusted me. And it's like, no, but you should have told me what
yeah.
happened. I understand that it was traumatic for you, but like you ignoring it isn't gonna make it go away. And
Mm-hmm.
now look what
Because now
happened.
here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, because who knows if she had said something earlier, then maybe they would have approached their
Yep.
maybe they wouldn't have studied the quantum realm at all. I don't believe that. I think they
Mm-hmm.
still would have.
Right.
But maybe they would
They
have
probably
approached
would
it in
have.
a different way that was
Yeah.
safer and wouldn't have let King out. So yeah, it just I felt like that was really psychological too.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of like what you repress is gonna come out eventually, no
Yep.
matter how much you
Yeah.
repress it.
Mm-hmm. It'll
So
come back.
it will. It will definitely come back. Speaking of coming back, is Bill Murray gonna come back? Like, what was that? Just like a funny
I
cameo?
don't know. I kind of don't want him to. I didn't really care for him.
No, his character was very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Any other thoughts generally on Ant Man before we
I
move?
mean, I'm really excited about the different Kangs we're about to see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think that's part of what makes King so interesting because there's not just one
Yeah,
version of him, there's a bajillion of them. Um,
and they don't
and
always agree.
so no. It seems like though the three that were shown, they're kind of on the same page
Yeah, they're like the
about
leaders of the
what,
gang.
yeah, of the Kings. And so it's like they are kind of like on the same page about what needs to happen.
Yeah,
So I think we're probably going to see more of them, like as more like movies and stuff show up.
I'm
Um,
I'm interested too to see like what did why was he exiled by those Kangs, and if so, like why? Like what was? Because I know
right.
that
It seems like he was or something. Like I don't know who else would have exiled him.
I don't know, and I wonder if they're like the real ones behind the TVA.
Mm.
Because
Oh, right.
there were three
Three like the
things.
statues, yeah. But they don't look like them. Because one
But
of them is
they
like
weren't real.
that's true.
They were
You're
robots.
right. Yeah.
So I don't
So
know.
they wouldn't obviously make them look similar to them.
I'm gonna have to watch like those theory TikToks, the
For
theory
sure.
ones.
Yeah.
I can watch. Yeah, because then and then also like how does this connect to the Kang and Loki? Like how did these two deaths
Right.
impact? Because they seem to be like the rogue Kangs,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, are these Kangs the lesser of the two evils, or are they the worst of the two evils?
Right. Well, I feel like the first king we met in Loki kind of said that.
Yeah,
Like he was kind of like, you think I'm bad, but like the other me's are like much worse than
Mhm.
me. Like you don't know like who you're actually messing with. Like
Yeah,
I'm bad, but the ones that come after me, they're scary.
yeah.
So
So we'll see what happens, and then we get like the little cameo of Loki and
mhm.
Morbius. Is that his
Yes.
name in the
Mhm.
end? And that was exciting. I was really happy to see him
Yes.
still in space. I love
Yeah, it was
Loki.
great.
Love that he's getting his own time to shine. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm excited to see what happens next, and like how all the projects come together in like a
Yeah.
greater.
I feel like it's like I feel like maybe Loki is gonna go basically on like an adventure through the multiverse in the next season of like trying to find all the different kings or something. Because
I
they
would
seem like they were
love.
in a whole different time period.
Yes.
So
Well, they were going back to find the professor version of him before he like really started figuring out how to mess with the multiverse. Because I
hmm
remember him talking about that in Loki. But then like and him across all the multiverses like found that out and whatever.
yeah.
So it's very interesting. Um, oh my gosh, what was I gonna say? Oh, I would love to sit in the writers' room and hear them like talk about all this because to me it's so complex in terms of I was thinking this like when all the kings appeared at the end. I was like, I would hate to write this story because it would the way it would hurt my brain to make sure that it all made sense.
Right.
and no
All the
one knows.
timelines
Plot
lined up.
holes, all the timelines
Mm-hmm.
lined up, like, it just feels very like, if you thought the Infinity
Yeah.
Stones and the time travel was complicated, it's not.
Mm-mm.
First of all, King would crush Thanos like a grape. So,
Yes.
immediately.
Like he wouldn't have to do the way this man just went and literally knocked people into walls. Like he didn't even have to move.
Yeah. Which I'm curious about too, because I'm like, why do you have powers? Like, weren't you just a guy before? Like, did you give yourself powers? Like, what was it
Like,
just
yeah, he
in
can
him?
because he can kind of control energy.
He has like telekinesis a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that come from? Like, what? And do all of your variants have this? Is it just you? Like, what's going
Right.
on? So that'll be complex. And there are a lot of heroes that I really like. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about the Thunderbolts. We were talking about how Stephen Yoon is in the cast, and I was
Yes.
like, period.
I
Great
can't wait.
addition. And then obviously Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. Like, we're getting a lot of cool. Who knows
Yeah.
what is going to be happening with Wanda in the next couple of seasons slash November.
Yeah.
Two kind of
Right.
non-canons.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this phase.
Yeah.
I know we've been in phase 5 for a minute, but I'm like, I feel like with Ant-Man, we're kind of starting to go towards what the whole phase is supposed to be about anyway.
Yeah. This phase
Um,
I feel like was more complicated too because it was not only starting a new story, it was wrapping up another story. So it's like
mhm,
you have to put an end to like certain plot lines, and I feel like that take like Hawkeye or Captain America, like,
mhm,
I mean, like Captain America Cap, not Captain America Sam.
yeah,
So it's like it was a lot of transition. Um yeah.
yeah, I
She-Hulk,
agree.
I like her a lot too. I really liked
Mhm.
Walters. Shuri is Black Panther. It'll
Yeah, I'm
be
really excited about I guess, this new set of Avengers that's gonna be
yeah.
coming.
They're like a lot more
Yeah.
powerful too. Like,
Mhm.
they're not, like the Avengers originally, it was like brute force, a lot of intelligence that made it
Yeah.
cute, and like again, brute force, I guess, like with Captain
Mhm.
America. And Thor was the one
Yeah.
who had like
Mhm.
the power.
Godlike powers. Yeah.
Yeah. And three-fourths of them were American. And so they kind of
Yep.
had like similar
Mhm.
mentalities, or even like
And
if
they
you
were
had
just like regular
they were
humans.
just regular humans, even if you add in
Yeah.
like Hawkeye and Black Widow. But now it's like you have these people from all these worlds, and they have powers, and they could
Mhm.
like obliterate people, and I'm like, this is gonna be a really interesting.
Yeah, they can like manipulate matter and energy and time and yeah.
Right. So we shall see what happens. But anyway, on to the the real tea of today. So, like I said, let's just start with like a really brief, spoiler-free thoughts about Outer Banks season 3. I personally thought it was the best season so far. Um,
Yeah,
it
I
felt
would
like
agree.
it felt like an action movie to me. It was very,
Mhm.
very exciting, but I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear your thoughts.
No, I would agree. I think because I remember watching, it took me a while to even start this show because I started season 1 and I remember being like, this show is really dragging. Like, it's very boring. Like, what's going on? Like, and people are like, no, you just got to keep watching. And I'm like, okay. And then, like, the last 3 episodes of season 1, I was like, okay, all right, it's picking up now. And then season 2, they went up a little bit more. And I was like, okay, this is definitely much more intriguing to me than the first season. I like season 2 way better than season 1. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, they're kind of keeping me engaged. And then this season, I was like, oh, we are locked in.
Mhm.
Like, very good. Like you said, action. Like, yeah, it felt like, and it kind of felt like you didn't know what to expect too. Like, it's like you thought, like, oh, Outer Banks kind of has this certain vibe, but then they took it to a different kind of level.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I remember seeing as many people getting shot as much as I did in
No.
the past 2 seasons. And so I was like, oh, like
Like,
we're
every time
really,
you were making any progress, someone would be like,
yeah,
with a gun, got
right.
you.
And
It's like,
so I was
oh, are
like,
there this many people armed right now in this
yes.
line?
And so I was like, oh, okay. So we're really switching it up. Like we're really doing it.
Yeah.
So I really liked that aspect of it. And I felt like the acting was much better.
Hmm.
Um, there were just like even moments that were just like there weren't even words being said, but I was like, yeah, this is good. This is doing it for me.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I love the new characters that were added. Like, I think Cleo is a great addition
Amazing.
to the group. 10 out of 10. I think she should be there forever and
I
nothing should
agree.
ever happen to her. So, um, I think everyone kind of had a little bit more character development with the exception of John B, in my opinion. But I think I think everyone else was kind of like they were still themselves like to their core, but like I felt like they kind of changed a little bit more. Like they matured a little bit more.
Yes. Mhm.
Like I think of like Pope. Like I think Pope really
Mhm.
matured a lot this
For
season.
sure. Yeah, he was able to act a little more grown this season, even though they are teenagers, but he was always the
Mhm.
one who was like acting like 10 years younger than everybody else. And it's like, this is
Mhm.
serious. I really need you to get it together. Like, please.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I think the more the seasons become less focused on like just John B and his angst, the more
Yeah.
it's interesting because it's not John B is not the only person with trauma. Like Sarah has been like her
Through
brother
the
and her dad
ringer.
both tried to kill her.
Yeah.
And then it like what's his name? JJ spent most of his life getting the hell beat out of him by his dad.
Abused. Yep. Mhm.
And then Kiara's parents, we'll talk about her later. I feel like less dramatic than the two things I just said, but
Yeah. Yeah.
still like highly problematic. The only parents I
Yeah.
really can't complain about is Pope, and maybe that's why he's so innocent.
Yeah.
Parents are so cute. I love them so
Yes,
much.
and they provide him with like normal, healthy structure. Like they're not like
Yeah.
parents that like do the most, like we're gonna lock you up forever, but we also don't want you just running wild and free. Like we're like, hey, like you still got a job here. Like you
Hmm.
still gotta come to work and work for your dad. Like
Yeah.
you're still gonna do what I need you to do. But
Have
like his
we
parents like
seen his
trust
mom
him.
before? Is this the first time we see his mom?
I want to say yes. I don't remember seeing her in the other seasons.
I don't remember either, because I remember we were talking about like how nobody has a mom like in this show.
Hmm.
But then I was like, no, I think Pope has a mom because I remembered his dad being like, your mom is gonna kill you, and then him being like, oh, my parents. So I'm like, okay, I think
Hmm.
he has them. And then when she appeared, me and Julie were like, oh my god, his mom, she exists. She was cute. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
I think that partially helped, like giving the other characters more of a plot because it's season
mhm.
one was like John B looking for his dad and his friends running after him and him barely listening to them because he's just like,
Yeah.
I'm in love with Sarah. I need to get on this plane and I need to blah 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 blah. It was just
Yeah.
the John B show and nothing against Chase Stokes personally. I just everything
Right.
against John B as a character.
Yes.
Um,
He
so
just doesn't give to me.
I think it's partially the way that they write him. They write him kind of selfish, I think. But yeah, I think another thing about this season that I liked was that it wasn't like there was one clear villain. It was kind of like anybody can be a villain if put under enough pressure and like don't make
Mhm.
the wrong choices,
Mhm.
which was cool because you'd be like, oh, they took care of this person, and then again, somebody else would be like, and you're like, oh my
Right.
god, I forgot about this person. Why do you keep appearing? Like,
Right. Right.
so I liked that. It gave like complexity. It wasn't like, Iron Man 1 where it's like the good side and the bad side and
Mhm.
which side are you on? It's like anybody can really be swayed to the bad
Yeah.
side. So, and it kind of felt a little like National Treasure to me. And I love National Treasure. So,
You do love National Treasure.
I do. But do you have any other spoiler-free things to say or do you want to just get right
We
in?
can dive right into the spoilers.
So if you have
Let's
not
do
seen
it.
it, again, this is your time to go. But I will
Yeah.
say, I was telling Ariel and Kayla that like I woke up at 6ish on the day that it came out because I had to go to school. And around 6:30 a.m. I was on TikTok. The show had come out at 3 a.m. our time because we're on the Eastern Coast. And there were already TikToks with like the scene I'd be like, I've never seen the scene. This is clearly season 3. And I'd have to like quickly scroll. I'm like, what are you guys doing with your time?
Like y'all don't care about your sleep. Like I'm sure it's okay if you wait until you like can actually function as a
Yeah.
person to watch.
I guess like on
Like
the West Coast, since it's midnight, it's a little better, maybe. But even so, it's like you can really watch one episode and then it's 1 a.m. Like,
yeah.
just go to bed. It's not that deep.
Like it's not. It's really not. You'll be okay. I
Yeah.
promise.
But all that to say, like, I had to watch it all by the end of the day because by the time I got back on
Yes.
TikTok at like 11 p.m., it was like well, half of it was legit just Rafe Cameron edits. And then the other half was like big spoiler scenes that people have been waiting for.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
okay, I guess, like, first, I think and you can tell me if you wanna start somewhere else, but I kinda wanna talk about the dads this season
They had a lot of roles this season.
because
They had a good presence in this season.
they were on some chaos. They were in what did JJ say? Goblin mode when he was
Yes.
they were in goblin mode the
With the
entire
exception of Pope's dad.
of Pope's dad, whatever his
Yeah.
first name is, Mr. Hayward.
Yep.
Love we could talk about him first because he's a sweet angel, a sweet
Yes.
angel baby.
Yes. He honestly, I was like, to me, I think because, like, obviously, I'm Haitian, but I think being Black, like, it makes sense why his parents are the way they are. So I'm like, yeah, his dad totally makes sense when he's like, yeah, you're not about to just like dip. Like,
Yeah,
you can't just like leave again. Like, that's just not how this works.
right.
Um, but still, again, was kind of like, okay, fine. Like, you can do this as long as like you work for me for the next like 3 weeks or something,
Yeah,
like he was just like, fine. But like, yeah, his dad, like all of his interactions with his dad, I was like, yeah, that's normal.
yeah,
With the exception of like, I think it was last season when he like put his hands on his dad. I was like, Pope, are you insane?
right,
I was like, excuse me? Do
right.
you know what you are? I was like, what is going on here? But um, but yeah, like I think his dad, again, great guy. Like, just I love the him being like, you can go do what you want, but you're not about to use my truck. Like,
Mhm.
I was like, that is very Black dad to me. Like, he's like, you go do what you need to do, but you're not about to use my truck because I need
Yeah,
it for work. I need to do this. I have a job. I have
yeah,
something that I do that's serious. You're
right.
trying to be unserious right now. So go do that, but you can't use my
And he
stuff for
crashed
it.
a truck last season. He crashed somebody else's
I'm
dad's truck.
still like, does Pope not have his license? Like, I'm pretty sure like it was like a thing, like he couldn't drive. So I was
Maybe.
like, I'm confused why you guys are letting him drive.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I think he has like a degree of like realness, whereas I feel like on a lot of teen shows, many of the times like parents are just absent or don't care what their
Mm-hmm.
kids are doing. And so like on some level that's very relatable to me too, where he's like I feel like my parents would be like, that's so funny. No. Are you insane? Like I
Right.
you could get killed. And
Yeah,
I'm not the
no.
villain for trying to tell you that. But then on the other hand,
Mm-mm.
it seems like they have a good relationship with him where they're able to like extend him grace and also trust him.
Yeah, I mean, they let him, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
I was
but
like,
they let him bring Cleo into their
that's
house.
what I was gonna say.
They don't know her. They
And
like,
it was like the comparison of that to Kiara's parents with Sarah, which I was like,
yes.
they were like, oh, we need boundaries. And I was like, she is homeless. What are you guys talking about? That is
I'm
so
like, her
heartless.
dad is dead. She doesn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
Like,
Like,
as far as you know, her dad is dead.
yeah.
Like, she has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And you
So
guys are like, well, we're having a family thing right
yeah,
now.
just put her in a room or something and then go or like be like, can you yes, you can stay here, but can you come back? Like I don't know, that was so strange to me, especially coming from my family. Like I can't imagine a situation in which one of my friends is like, I have nowhere to go, and my parents would be like, that's too bad. Go.
Yeah,
You
my
know?
parents would never. What? Yeah.
So I was like, I need you guys to stop acting this way. It's not
Yeah.
cute. But yes, Pope's family, I love their interactions with Cleo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
the scene where she's like, oh yeah, we raised him really well. And then his dad's like, we did, didn't we? And there's just like, I don't know, she like
Yeah.
fits so well into the
Yes.
family. And I think that that makes sense for them. And it was just like, I don't know, cute.
Yeah.
I
I
really
love
liked
that.
that. Yeah.
They're really great. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. We can come back to Cleo and Pope because I feel like I have a lot to say about that. But let's get on to the
I do
dads.
too.
Which dad would you like to talk about next?
I
There's so
mean,
many
I
great arguments.
guess we could start with uh Kiara's dad, I guess. Just go from like kind of sucky to the most sucky, you know?
Mhm. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know his first name either.
His name is Mike, I think.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like that Mike at his core, right? Like the reason that he is upset is valid. Like his daughter has been
Mm-hmm.
engaged in a lot of chaotic activity, but it's so I would use the word like traitorous to me because he's this
Mm,
guy who came from nothing, and now that he has something, he like looks down on
yes.
people that were in his position. He's like, you can't hang out with
Yes.
those pogues. I'm like, you were a pogue. So,
Yeah.
and also that generalizing to an entire group of people, like,
I literally throughout the whole season was like, this is so derogatory. Like the way you guys are talking sounds very derogatory right now.
because they're poor, like, that's why we're upset.
Like what? The
Yeah.
classism,
It's
crazy.
no, and it's like internalized classism too,
Mm-hmm.
because in his head, he's like, well, I worked hard to get to where I am. So therefore, I have the right to look down on you, which is like, no,
Yeah.
a lot of that was probably luck and connections. Some people don't
Mm-hmm.
have luck or connections. And his big issue was with this season is with JJ. JJ has no
Mm-hmm.
parents. We have no idea where his mom is. His dad,
Yep.
again, used to beat the life out of him for everything. And you have
Yep.
no empathy for him at all. He's like
None.
16 years old. Um, yeah, what were your thoughts on Mike Carrera? And I guess
He
we can
was,
include her mom too, whose name I don't
yeah.
remember.
Yeah, I
Anna.
don't remember her mom.
I think it was
But
Anna.
her mom, I would say, was better than last season. I think she tried this season to
Mhm.
just be a little more lenient, I guess, with like trying to like helicopter Kiara. But I think the dad definitely had a more of a say in that relationship because like I understand like your kid keeps running away and like doing crazy stuff. And to me, I feel like that's a conversation. Like
Mhm.
is because every time they would talk to her, it's more like, you need to stop doing this. You're ruining your life. Like they just wouldn't be like, hey, why do you keep leaving?
Mhm.
Like, I just want to understand, like, what is the appeal of you just like leaving and going off for like days, weeks on end without contacting us? Like,
Right.
if you're gonna go on an adventure with your friends, just keep in touch with us. Just like, yeah, you know?
Mhm.
And so they didn't do that. They decided that they would just assume that she was just like losing her mind and like trying to be like rebellious because of them in a way. Like it's just like, this is not about you.
No.
And then you decide, well, the only thing we're going to have to do is lock her up
Against her
and
will.
send her to an alternative behavioral camp. Like,
Yeah.
this is the only way, this is our only option. It was not.
No.
It was not. You could have just signed her up for like regular therapy, if
Which you should
anything.
have, because she was stranded on an island for a month and then was kidnapped by a psychopath. You should have put her in therapy. She should have absolutely been going to therapy.
But no, that's not what you guys wanted to do.
And the scene where they come and grab her is scary. Like,
Yes.
that's scary to me now. I can't even imagine being 16 and
Like,
having been kidnapped a couple of weeks prior by somebody who had
yes.
guns and could have killed me. It was just so like
It was so
insensitive.
odd. Like the man just like being like, hey Kiara, don't be alarmed. She was like, okay. Like she was just like, I don't know who you are. Like, what are you doing at my house?
Yeah.
And then for the other guy to open the door, I was like, what?
And for her parents to stand there while she was screaming like don't let them do this to me and dragging her into the car, I was like, this is evil. Like there's no way
Yeah.
around it. This is just
And
evil.
I said that. I said they would never see me again. I
No.
was like, after this, they would never see me again.
No.
That's why I was shocked that her parents were there at the end.
At the
Like,
end.
I
Yeah.
was like, you would never see my face again. You would never
Yeah.
hear from me. I would basically be dead to you.
Yeah.
Like, you would never hear from me again after that. Are you insane?
Yeah. And even like the place that she went to, and Ariel and I are both like in the mental health field. I was texting, and I
Yes.
had seen it before you did. And so I was texting you like, there are some very questionable therapeutic practices being done. And it was just like so hostile from the moment she got there. The lady was like, you have oppositional defiant disorder. And then she like said something and she was like, see, that's confirmation of the diagnosis. And I was like, why
I'm like,
are
first
we
of
the
all,
police?
first of all, also, did any of your writers like contact a therapist?
No.
What? Probably not, which is probably the point. These people
Yeah.
aren't legit. Like,
Yeah.
if you had a degree, you would assess and make sure. you would assess and make sure, like, does this person actually have ODD, or
That's a
like
big
maybe,
diagnosis,
yes,
and it goes
you
into
have
your
to
record
have
forever.
specific criteria for that.
Mhm.
Like, you can't just like give that away as a diagnosis because some kid doesn't listen to her parents.
Right, and again, if you
Like,
asked any questions, you would know that she had been stranded on a desert island for a month
yep,
and then kidnapped by
yep,
an insane person,
yes,
and I feel like if you heard any of that, you would not, and then even before that, all the stuff that they experienced in season 2 and season 1, how many times they got shot at, or her watching Rafe try to kill JJ and Pope in front of her eyes, like, there's a lot
yeah,
of traumatic events. If anything, it sounds a little more like complex trauma to me
hmm,
than
yeah,
oppositional defiant disorder. It's not like it's for no reason. So it's just like that and them taking away their phones and the really strict curfews and then putting her into like basically solitary confinement. I was like, that's crazy because everybody knows that solitary confinement drives you insane. Like it's not good to be alone for long periods of time without interacting with other people. What are we doing? Like this is not, and then when they she got brought into the group room after like they thought that her cat died or something, they all looked miserable. Nobody looked happy
yes,
in that entire camp.
no. It was
So,
kind of giving, that's why I was like, oh, they're gonna beat her up. Like, I was like, it was kind of giving like Lord of the Flies to me.
mhm,
Like, I was like, oh, they're gonna beat her up so that she's just as miserable as them.
yeah,
Because they have to break her for her to like comply.
yeah. So it's just like it was not. I'm like, if anybody should be put in a place like this, it is Rafe. Like, it is not Kiara.
Yes.
So,
Rafe needs to be locked up
yeah, Rafe needs
forever.
to go to prison for sure. Um, so yeah, I guess we can move on to one of the other parents, unless you have more to say
Ooh.
about Kiara's parents.
Yeah, no.
I feel like if we're moving
Lovely.
in direction of Liseki to Moseki, I would think the reasonable, but honestly, they're very close to me. I know that that's a bad thing to say, but
No, I know exactly who you're about to say next.
the reasonable next one is Big John, who I
Hmm.
hate. I don't know if you saw my
Yes.
TikTok that I posted. It was like, which
Yes.
character got Big John? And I was like, this is literally a crime against me. So,
Literally, why? Like, I think I just expected different and better from him this season. Like, I was like, okay, he's alive. So he's obviously going to be like, hey, this is what happened. I had to leave because of this, and I couldn't contact you because of this. And, I'm basically just going to try to be your dad. That's what I thought this vibe was going to be. Like, maybe if there was an adventure, like, yeah, he'd totally like be there as like a guide for them. You know what I
mhm.
mean? Like, because this is what he does. No, like from the beginning, it was like, oh, he is not about being a dad or
No,
anything
he's
right now.
about that treasure. That's basically what he is
Yeah.
about. And there, I guess the one nice, well, two. There are two nice moments with him: the beginning and the end, basically,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like ringing the bells. I did think that was a very sweet thing, and it also like for that to bookend like his story in this season, I thought was really
Yeah.
nice. And there was like a quote that John B said in episode either 1 or 2 when he hears the bells. He says something like, we got beat up so much that we don't see the miracle right in front of us." And I was like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
word to me.
That is.
It is.
Yes.
And like the cinematography of the scene of him like running to his dad and his dad like ringing the bells, I thought that was really beautiful. Like taking away everything that happens after that, this idea of like, do you even like when we were watching Avatar yesterday, like when Katara tried to rile up the prisoners and they had just been
Mm-hmm.
so disappointed and beaten up so
Yes.
much that hope
Mm-hmm.
was painful to them.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, that's actually really, really powerful because I feel like that
Yeah.
happens a lot, especially like as believers. A lot of the time, it's like, God, can you answer this prayer? And then He answers, and then we're like, okay, but what's wrong with this? What can I
Mm-hmm.
find in this that's wrong so I can
Yeah.
correct myself? And then we end up ruining the thing that was the
Yes.
answer to our prayer.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. However, Big John is an unhinged man.
Like, absolutely. Like, everything was just kind of like, you're not even stopping to think like how this is affecting your kid who
No,
has not seen you in like a year,
right.
like has not, like, you're just very much like, all right, I'm back, let's do this thing. Like, we're
And
just gonna,
his reasoning
act crazy.
for disappearing, while I understood, I still felt like it wasn't good enough. I feel like he could have contacted John B in some way, even if it was like to get him a letter somehow that was like, "I'm alive. Like I'll find you when it's safer." But you just let this
Mm-hmm.
this child think that you're dead, and you know that he doesn't have a mom because his mom
Yep.
left when he was 3,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just gonna leave him to fend for himself. And then it was like the second that they were back together, it was all about the treasure. It wasn't even,
Yes.
"How are you? How have you
How have you
been?
been? What have you gone through in the last year? How has
How
the
have you
last
been
year gone?
surviving? Because you have no parents and you're a child." Like, what, you know? But like, yeah, the whole, and even when they were trying to find El Dorado at the end and they were like climbing up that mountain, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "That's enough back talk from you. Like this, I've been waiting my whole life for this." And he's like, "I literally thought that you were dead for the past
Yeah.
year. I grieved you. Like we had a little funeral service for you.
Funeral.
And
Yep.
all you can think about is gold. Like it's not about me." So, yeah, he was just honestly, I really did not like him.
I really felt like he was like low key a villain.
I think so too.
Like, I don't, you could argue he was like an anti hero, but I was like, no. He was just like, he killed two people in front of this kid with no hesitation.
He shot that guy in the back of the head after he was already
Yes,
shot. I was like, "This
that's
is giving
execution
assassin."
style.
Yes.
Like, what?
Like, I understand. I know that they were about to kill John B, but I was talking about this with Julia. I was like, he could have shot them in the foot, in the leg, like, and then tied them up. Like, for him to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that scene, it was really horrible. Like, for him to,
Yeah.
like you said, execution style, shoot that guy in the back of the head when he had already been shot, like through the chest or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, you're crazy. That's what you're showing me. You're crazy."
Yeah. And John B like has no time to process it. Like, it just immediately gets on the boat. Like, we gotta go. Like,
Or when he tells John B to steal from that old lady and he's like, "Take this
yes.
gun and go rob her." Like, what? And then he's like, upset that John B can't do it. And I'm like, what are we teaching our children to do? You're upset that he has morals and he doesn't want to rob an old woman? Like,
Right.
I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, he was just so like you said, like unhinged, like, and then it was like this obsession with like the diary and
Yeah.
like getting the diary. And then it was annoying me because I was like, John B, this diary does not belong to anyone but Pope.
The
I
diary
was like,
slash the cross and the gold in El Dorado, which belonged to the indigenous people who put it there. There was so much like trying to
yes.
find things that don't belong to you in this season.
And I was like, this is just not like, I was like, you haven't said anything about like actually like we need to give this diary to Pope because this belongs to him and his family. Like, you didn't say that at all. Like, at
Mm-mm.
all. And I was
No,
like, and that's when I started being like, John B, what's going on? Like, I was like, maybe it's, I guess if we look at it psychologically, it's like it's because it's his dad and like maybe he just didn't want to like disappoint him. I don't know. Or like, but I'm just like, either way, like, no, that wasn't yours to get, to retrieve, to have at all.
it was not.
Should have never had it in the first place. And then for you guys to just basically just like not care about anybody else but yourselves, it was just giving very much, like you said, colonizer energy. Like, it was just like, you just don't care about
No.
who this affects. Like, even what's his name, Singh,
Hmm.
like granted, sure, he was Trinidadian and like of color, but it's like he still had that sort of like, well, this is something that I deserve to
Right.
get. And I'm like, but you don't, because it's not yours.
It's not. He
Like,
was like, "My family's from India." And I was like, "Do you know where India is in relation to where you currently are?" Like, what are we discussing right now? But
yeah, I'm like, I get it. You grew up poor and like you just, want to be rich, but like this is not yours to have.
yeah, Rafe kept saying that all season too when he
Yeah,
got
being like
observed. And I was
saying the
like,
cross was mine. And I was like, it's
according
not.
to whom? Like, I was giving very like manifest destiny kind of
Yeah.
attitude. And even like on the subject of, I think, of John B and Big John, you can see like the generational pattern like almost trying to repeat itself. Like even in the scene where JJ's like they locked up Kiara and John B's like, "We don't have time like to wait. We don't have 8 hours." And I was like, "Wait, did you
Yeah.
hear what he just said? Like you don't care about your friend?"
Yep.
So Yeah, and I understand that he was going to try to save his dad, but I'm like, still, I need you to show some concern for other people and what's going
And
on.
that's what it just wasn't giving
It
this
was not.
season.
No.
Like you just didn't care. That's what it came off as. It's like you were more concerned. Like I get it. You don't want to lose your dad again.
Yeah.
Got you, bruh. Fine. But like, hello, these are people that have been supporting you since day one.
Risking their
As soon
lives.
as as soon as your dad went missing, they were like, all right, we're gonna help you find him. We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
Like these people have had your back from the moment your dad went missing.
Yeah.
And you can't sacrifice even a little bit. Like you can't sacrifice a few hours to help your friend.
No. The scene where Big John saw JJ for the first time again was very cute though. Like that little
It
reunion
was.
with his
Yeah,
friend.
the reunion scene was cute, but I was still like, he's trying to take stuff from Pope though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, we still haven't mentioned that he's trying to get stuff that doesn't belong to him, but
Yeah. So in a way I'm kind of glad he died because I didn't want him to at the beginning because I was like, this is gonna be just traumatic for John B again. So much worse. But
yes.
I feel like if he hadn't, he would have just continued to be an anti-hero for the rest of the show because he would have continued to prioritize gold. And the way that he died, I thought was like very sweet. Like him saying like, "I'll see you at home, kid." And it kind
Mm-hmm.
of reminds me of what we were talking about before we got on about like funerals and like homegoing services.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really like beautiful last thing to say.
Yeah. I also thought
Um,
his nickname Bird was so cute. I was like, that's such a cute nickname for a kid.
I thought the B stood for bird for a long time, and apparently it's Booker. John Booker Rutledge.
John Bird Rutledge.
Wouldn't that have
Okay.
been cute?
Would have,
John Bird.
but
Yeah. So I would also like to know at some point where the heck John B's mom is because
yeah, I think I said to Kayla, I was like, do you think they're gonna like bring her back somehow? Like she's
she's
just gonna
gonna have
like
to have
show
a
up?
solid backstory for why she did not show up after
Oh,
Big John went missing and John B was alone and being persecuted by
but
Child Protective
also
Services.
leaving him as a child.
Yeah. Well,
Just like
John B made
go
it seem
ahead.
like it was because of his dad. He was like, "Oh, you did it to
Mm.
mom, like you pushed her away," which I'm like, "Sure, but you never saw her again after that? You, the child?"
Yeah, like she never tried to contact you. That's a little
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wondered like if they're gonna bring her back, like what that would be like, or like I don't know, they go on like an adventure or something, and like somehow they meet this woman that he's like, you feel familiar to me, and then it's like, Mom, you're my mom. I don't know.
They honestly might. But again, I just hope that they don't bring her on to be a villain. Like there has to be some good backstory, like she got
Yes,
amnesia or something and she
we
doesn't know what
need
it
some
is.
good parents in this show. That's
We
what we
really do.
need. We
We
need
do.
people who like have a brain and like
Yeah.
want to be good parents. That's what
Right.
we need.
On the subject of that, let's talk about the best parent in the whole show, Ward
Mm, of
Cameron.
course. Dad of the year,
Easy
father of
transition.
the century.
He was the character that every time he appeared, I was like, this freaking guy, why does he keep appearing? Why does he, when he got off the plane and then in the jungle, I think this was after they had taken out Sing, and then he appears, and I was like, I can't keep dealing with you. Like, genuinely, I'm so tired of you. I really am. What
Can't
were
do
your
it.
thoughts about Ward Cameron this
I
season?
mean, the fact that he survived in season two was annoying to me. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, this man is bleeding from the back of his head. He should have died.
Yeah.
Like, that part of like right here is a very like sensitive part. Like, that's where
Mm-hmm.
your like spinal cord is. Like,
He went
he
down
should
hard too.
I was like, you should have at least either one, been paralyzed from
Yeah.
the neck down, or two, died. Like,
Yeah.
those are really the options. Or be like severely messed up.
Yeah.
Like, and
And
I'm just
that's
like, I
totally fine.
don't, yeah, that would have been fine. But like, yeah, him surviving at the end of season two, I was like, okay, fine. And then him like coming back, I was just like, just stay in Guadalupe. What are you doing here? Like,
It's the
and I kept saying
entitlement.
like, yeah, of course, yeah, he thinks he deserves all the things, and I'm like, sure, fine, whatever. It's in your blood, it's fine. And so, like, Kayla turned to me at one point, was like, why do you think, like, how do you think like Ward got rich? And I was like, she's like, do you think like I know he does real estate, but like, how do you? And I was like, I just looked at her, I was like, he's a white man, like I don't.
Wasn't Denmark Tanny? Was that his slave or was it a slave?
No,
Not
it was
his, but
that
his family.
Lembry,
You're
whatever her
right.
name was.
You're
It was
right.
her family that owned Denmark Tanny.
Got it. But it
Because
kind of
that's why she
seems
was so
like
pressed about getting the cross and stuff. Because
right,
she was like, my ancestors I was like, you're saying this with your mouth that your family enslaved this man
right. And now
and
you're
that you
entitled to it.
deserve his family's treasure.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
I wouldn't be surprised though if the Camerons owned slaves, especially with how much land
Oh, yeah.
that they had, and
No, I
it's
would
in
not
North
be
Carolina.
surprised.
It's giving plantation land, like big time. So it
Yes.
really is.
I was like, you live in a big house on a bunch of land. Yes, your parents definitely owned, your ancestors
Yeah, I was gonna
definitely
say.
owned
It's like, whoa.
slaves. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are parts in like the South where like slavery didn't end until like
Yeah.
recently anyway. So, but I was like, yeah, he probably got slave money, he probably got, the real estate stuff, but like, yeah, he does illegal. And I was like, and he's done illegal stuff like his whole life.
Yeah.
So that's definitely how he got rich. But
Yeah.
besides that, it's like, yeah, he just thinks that he can own and take as much as he wants for no reason. Like, even if you think like, I'm like, I don't even know if Ward has ever explained why he feels like he deserves. It's just like he doesn't have to explain it. He just,
Yeah.
that's what he believes and that's what he thinks.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy because it's like this, it's very interesting because it's like, obviously watching as like a person of color, it's like, it's very interesting how they take it as like they have this fear that it's going to be taken away from them.
Hmm.
Like this fear of like, well, we need to protect our family and we need it. And I'm like, you have no danger. Not you like we said, you live on a plantation.
Right.
You are fine. No one is coming to take your house,
No.
your land. Like you've been chilling
Why do
this
you need
entire
more?
time.
Why do you need more? I just don't understand. Like, why is what you have not enough for you?
Yeah.
That's his
And
thing. He's like
then
insatiable the entire
yes. Yeah. And then it's also just like, and just how he like manipulates his kids into, with the exception of Wheezy, she was very irrelevant this
she
season.
appeared once, I think, the entire season.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. And so, I mean, in a way, he does kind of manipulate Wheezy though, because he got Wheezy to do the voice memo
Yes.
to get Sarah. So, yeah, so he keeps his family like under his thumb because that's the only way he can keep control. He can't
Hmm.
control anything else except obviously, I guess, his money, but like his family to him, under the thumb. Like he
Hmm.
has to make sure he knows what they're doing, what they're about, who they hang out with. Like that's why Sarah being a part of like John being his friends was just so like distressing to him. He's just like, she's trying to leave and she's trying to like break up the family. And I'm just like, it's
Well,
not
also,
that deep.
it was like a reminder of the Big John situation because John B is
Yeah.
Big John's son.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like extra triggering, I guess, if you want to
Yeah.
use that
Yeah.
for him.
Sure.
Yeah, he's just a very unlikable character. And when he died at the end, I felt sad for Sarah, but not sad for him. I was like, I feel like
No.
you needed to die. I
I
couldn't
was gonna, I
deal
was
with
like, if
you.
he shows up in this next season again, I really don't know if I'm gonna keep watching.
No,
I'm
when
like,
he jumped off when he pushed that guy off the cliff, me and Julia were sitting there and I was like, show me the body. Because if I don't see the body, I'm not gonna know for a fact that he's dead. Because that's how it
yeah.
works in movies. And then it was like this horrible scene of him just
Yeah.
impaled
Yeah.
on a branch.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And I
whoa,
was just
okay.
very, I was like, good.
Thank you for that photographic evidence. Move
Because,
on.
like, and then I turned to Kayla. I think you were on FaceTime with her. Yeah, you were, because we watched the last 2 episodes together. And so I like turned to Kayla and I was like, it'd be kind of crazy if you survived that, though. I was like, if we saw Wade Cameron start being like, "Ugh," I would have been like, he's a demon. There's
Mm.
absolutely a demon in this man. But yeah, and even the whole like reformed, born again Christian priest cosplay he was doing, I was like, this is so dumb. I was like, no one believes this. Like, you're
No,
trying to convince yourself. No one believes this act at all.
no. It was just so weird. Him being like, bless you, baby. I was like, please stop saying these
Like
words.
telling Rafe, like, the devil has you, son. I'm like, I mean, he does, but
Right. That's a fact,
you
but
shouldn't be talking. You
right.
shouldn't be talking because you're definitely possessed.
Yeah.
So, what?
Yeah.
I was so exhausted by him. And then
Well,
him coming back to the Outer Banks, I was just like, are you, why?
so irritating. Genuinely so irritating. Let's talk about Rafe. Since you just mentioned Rafe, I feel like
Mhm.
that's a natural transition. I felt
Yeah.
like going into the season, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna give Rafe a redemption arc, but it kind of felt like they gave him an opportunity to maybe have one at the beginning, and then Kiara betrayed him, and then
Yeah.
everything that happened with his dad. I think it really sunk into him this season that like nothing I ever do will be good
It's
enough for
gonna
this
be
man.
enough.
It's
Hmm.
never gonna be enough, and at the end of the day, he's gonna choose himself over everybody else.
Or
And
Sarah.
well, I mean, yes, but he did try to kill Sarah last season, so even that
Yes,
is a
which
little unclear.
we saw him kind of like
Regret.
battle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, but I know a lot of the things like that drove him were like, Sarah. Like
Yeah.
Rafe was just always like, it don't matter what I do. Like she's always gonna be the favorite,
Mhm.
essentially. Like he's always gonna do something when it comes to her. So yeah, I think I was glad they didn't try to do a redemption arc because I'm just like, I don't like that when like someone is like inherently evil and then like they try to be like, oh well, now he's gonna try to be nice, and I'm like, no. I'm like, this man just killed people, tried to kill his sister. Like you just want to brush that over because he's trying to be nice? No.
Yeah, him in episode 1 or 2 or whatever, when he was like, "I'm the victim in this situation," I was like, "Rafe, please, please be for real right at this moment, please."
Be absolutely so serious right now.
We're not playing this game right at this moment. Thank
Mm-mm,
you.
mm-mm.
Um, yeah, so I think this was like his villain setup. Like if you think about like the hero's journey and like when
Yeah.
the mentor dies, it's like the same, but like the villain's journey. It's like
Mm-hmm.
now I will become the villain because he did not appear in the last episode, and we didn't get
No.
any indication of where he was at
Nope.
the end of the last episode. And
Mm-mm.
before um Ward got on the plane, he told John B like if anything happens to him, I'm gonna kill you or I'm gonna come after you. So I'm like, okay, clearly there's gonna be a vendetta, even though
Yeah.
you have no right to have a vendetta because the reason your dad was almost dead was because of you. So
Yep.
um
And also it's like you having revenge for what? Because you weren't there. Like if they're like
right.
they come back, well, obviously it's been a year and a half because they flash forward. But like you weren't there. So you can't blame anyone for how he died.
Yeah.
I guess you can because in your mind it's always John B's fault. But like you weren't there. So what's this vendetta even really about?
Right.
Like,
The one thing I will say I enjoyed watching though, partially mostly because I hate Ward Cameron, was the scene where he like finally stood up for himself to his dad.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It was just like I don't know, I think it's interesting because it's like Ward never thought like at some point Rafe is gonna get like bigger than me and
Yeah.
stronger than me. Like I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
age. I can't keep him under my thumb forever.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of like I don't want to say rewarding, but it kind of was. It was kind of rewarding to watch him be like,
It shook him for a second when he pinned him up against that wall.
he said, I
He
don't
was like,
need you
"Oh,
anymore, actually. So this is what's gonna happen. And
mm-hmm.
I was like, I love this song. Turn it up. Like, again, I think Rafe belongs in prison, but I really don't like Ward either. And it was nice to see the consequences of his actions, basically. It's like you're treating this
Yeah.
kid like he doesn't matter. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't be upset when he turns around and treats you the same way. Um, so I thought that was kind of I thought that
Yeah.
was kind of great. I liked
Yeah.
this scene a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, yay, but then it's also like, this could be very bad.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Like, I think next season, yeah, Rafe is going to be a problem. Like, and I'm sure there'll be other random villains like they did with this season and last
Mhm.
season. Um, but yeah, like I'm a little scared. But
Yeah,
I
because he
think
is
too, it's
crazy.
like even though Rafe is like completely, yes, a complete psychopath, like there are parts of him that are easily manipulated. Like him getting ready to kill his dad and his dad just being like, go ahead, kill me, do it. It's like even though it's like he's trying to be like, I don't need you, his dad still knows what buttons to
Yeah.
push. Like his dad's like, oh, he would never kill me. That's why he's just like, all right, go ahead, I'm the
Mhm.
problem, so kill me, do
Right.
it, I'm not gonna fight you on it. And he knew, or maybe part of him hoped that he wouldn't, but like a part of him felt like, yeah, he's not gonna kill me,
Hmm.
and he was right.
He was right.
except Rafe did shoot very close to him.
Hmm.
So maybe it was kind of like a warning, like, I didn't shoot you this time, but I might next time.
Right. Next
So
time I won't hesitate. So
yeah.
yeah, but I don't know, he's like a very interesting villain to me because he's just so complex. And
Hmm.
it's like I think it's very nature versus nurture because him and Sarah they were treated very differently, but they were raised by the same person.
Yeah.
So I think he does have like an inherent predisposition to like violence and craziness, and
Hmm.
it was exacerbated by being treated like he was worthless his
Yep.
entire life.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm
Like,
just
he
kind of
put a hit out on his
He
dad.
surely did. And he warned him. He was like, if you stay here, bad things are gonna happen to you. Just so you know. And he's like, what kind of bad
Like,
things?
do you know what kind of place you have to get to mentally to be like, I'm going to put a hit out on my dad? I'm going to pay someone to murder my dad.
Yeah. I don't know what
No,
it
I
is.
don't either. But I'm like, you have to hit like a point where logic just no longer exists. Like, you
Mm-mm.
are gone.
Well, I think Rafe exists in like a primitive part. Like if you're thinking about like the ego, the id, and the super ego, he is
Hmm.
100% id. Like he
Yes.
does not have any logic or moral compass
Hmm.
that really pokes out for him, and he's just operating on impulse.
Yeah.
Um, So it's like I don't know. It is interesting to watch, even though half the season,
Hmm.
I'm like, please stop doing that immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Drew Starkey though was in his acting bag this
For
season.
sure. Yeah.
And we all know I love Drew Starkey. So it's like
Yes, you do.
the Rafe Cameron edits that come up on my page. I'm like, this behavior is problematic, but the actor, cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I mean, do you want to talk about John B and Sarah and Topper? Like
We can like talk about them for like
a
this
second?
long
That's how I
because like,
feel too.
it really was like, to me, because and y'all can fight me if you want to in the comments.
Right.
It's fine. I can take it. John B and Sarah never had chemistry to me.
Hmm.
I never felt like, the only exception I felt it was in season one when they had like run away together and pretended to like be a couple or whatever. And they were like having the cute little montage where she was trying on outfits. That was
Mhm.
cute. They kissed after, cute. After that, I was like, okay.
I felt like their
Like,
chemistry in this season was awkward, and I wonder if it's because they broke up in real life that it had to do with it. Because there were some
I
moments
think
where I was like,
so.
"This feels kind of weird to me," you know. So yeah, I kind of agree though. I don't feel like they have as much. Not that I feel like they have no chemistry, but I feel like they don't have a lot of chemistry. And I
Yeah.
also just I think it doesn't help that I don't like John B's character. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like Madeline Klein and I like Sarah a lot, and I'm like
Mm-hmm.
rooting for Sarah. But then
Yeah.
there's a couple I'm kind of like, I don't really actually care. And them continuing to say we're married, I was like, please shut up.
John John B being pressed about them being married since season two was the most annoying thing watching on when I watched season two. I was like, this isn't real. All you did was say that you guys are married and you ripped up a piece of a cloth and put it around her finger. That's not that's not real.
No, there were no
Legally,
witnesses.
you are not married because,
Right.
like you said, one, there were no witnesses. There is no contract. Like,
And you're underage
no,
also, so I'm like, what are we
it's just
talking
not.
about?
It's just not. And the first thing for him to say to his dad is, I'm married. I was like, oh, please, please
I literally
give
went,
me a break.
I
Yeah,
need
I
to.
just, it was dumb. And like, he was the only one really out of the two of them that kept saying it. Like, she never really was like openly saying it. I'm like, this feels very one sided to me. Like,
Mhm.
and so, yeah. And so, like, when they like got back on like Outer Banks and stuff, and like, Topper showed up and all of that. Like, I was just like, I guess, like, and her and Topper, they weren't together before all of this happened. Obviously, he was like really annoying when they were
Yes.
first together. I'm not gonna, say he wasn't. Um, but I think like this season he like kind of tried to be better, but then he turned out to still be a douchebag in the end.
Insane.
But
Yeah. It was a quick
yeah, a
downward
very
spiral.
quick turnaround. Which again, probably just showed that's who he is really at the core
Yeah.
of. who he is. So,
I do
and it
feel
makes
like they
sense.
had good chemistry though, like
I do.
the two of them.
Yeah, I think so. Um, but yeah, I just like, I was like, sure, whatever. And then like they kissed, not John B, Sarah and Topper kissed.
Mhm.
And I was like, I mean, how can I object to this? I mean, I don't really like John B like that. So I
Yeah,
don't condone cheating. I do not. Let's just put that on the record. I do not condone cheating. Um, but I was like, hey man, I don't care. I was just like, sure.
I was curious to
Um,
see what happened. Like, I for chaos purposes, I was like, I wonder what would happen if they kissed.
yeah.
And then they kissed, and I was like, I wonder how this will transpire. You know?
Yep. Because I was like, maybe this will lead them to break up. Like, I was like, maybe this will lead them to break up, but then like it didn't. So I was like, okay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's that scene where he like tries to kill Topper at the party, and they that what
Yeah.
annoyed me about their relationship was that it almost seemed like them going through the collective trauma of like losing both of their dads on the same
Mm-hmm.
trip. Like they now didn't have to talk about like the problems that happened before, which understandable, like for that moment, like they were
Yeah.
concerned about the loss of their parents, but at some point you're gonna have to talk about the fact that Sarah cheated on you. And also at some point you're gonna have to talk about the fact that like you were really violent. And
Yes.
I'm scared now. Like if I saw somebody do that, I'd be like, how am I gonna know that you're not gonna hit me? Like if you get
Yep.
upset. You
Mm-hmm.
hit like he wasn't even fighting back. You
Yeah.
tried to knock his lights out in front
Yep.
of the entire town.
Yep.
So how are we gonna guarantee that you're not gonna do that to me? You're not gonna do that to our kids, you're not gonna do that to our friends. Like I think that would be really
Yep.
concerning to me, and they had no conversation
Yep.
about it. So I don't know. What do you think about
Yeah.
that plot?
No, I agree. I think it's like it was also kind of showing like his dad's effect on him
Mm-hmm.
as well. Because I'm like, I'm sure John B in the last few seasons probably would have punched Topper, but like he probably wouldn't have done as much like excessive hitting as he did
Yeah.
in that scene. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they fought each other all the time. It was never a thing that never happened. But I'm like, I don't remember him like really like going in on someone like that. Like without like stopping or pausing to think like maybe I should stop. Even Sarah kind of screaming at him like didn't work. Like
Yeah.
it was just kind of like, yeah, that's a little bit of Big John there, like
Yeah.
showing up. Which makes sense because he pretty much spent the whole season with his dad anyway.
And watched his
So
dad unalive two people right in front of his eyes.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, I would agree. I probably would not feel safe around someone that I was dating if like I knew that at any moment like they could just like become that violent with someone just because someone pissed them off or said something they didn't
yeah.
like. Actually, I did date someone like that, low
Mm,
key.
mm,
Like the first person I dated always carried a gun in his car.
nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I live in the South, so like,
Right.
yeah, but he always kept it like in the little pocket in his driver's side door. And I remember being like, why do you bring it everywhere? And he was just kind of like, like in case someone like, tries it like while I'm driving, essentially. And I was like, why would someone like, what do you mean? Like, because
Mm,
someone cuts you off, like someone like flips you off, like you would point your gun at them
right.
like, and he had told me a story actually that like some guy had like cut him off. And so like he said he went into like the other lane and the guy in the other car was like kind of going off at him from his car. And he said like he just like picked up his gun and like basically showed the guy that he had a gun in his car. And then the guy like sped off. And I remember sitting there like, this isn't funny. Like is this supposed to be like a OMG ha 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 type story? Because
Right.
I'm not laughing.
No one is ha ha haing. No one.
No, I was like, oh, and I remember being like, so that means like I could be in the car and you would just do something crazy like that.
Yeah. No, that's
Like,
That's scary. And it's like we already are scared as women because of what happens to us all the time.
Yes.
It's like you're giving me more actual like tangible evidence about why I should be scared. Why should I trust you? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was just that scene to me was like very sinister, I think. Like
Mhm.
it's very malicious. It wasn't even like I'm trying to protect you, I'm trying to protect your honor or whatever. Because also
Mhm.
she
All she
chose
did
to
was
do
tell
that.
him. Yeah, she told him that she did it, She was honest about it at least. She told him.
And it's not like Topper like pinned her down and kissed her. She kissed him. So
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at Sarah. I'm not saying punch Sarah, don't do that.
No, of
But
course
like,
not. Yeah.
but your anger is not even really being directed at the right place. Like you're
Yeah.
mad, but it's something that she chose to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I just need them to do better. If they're gonna be together, which I feel like is that's the show's end game for them,
Yeah.
I just need them to stop being so annoying. I really need them to be I need John B to mature, like, a lot,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's acting like a baby at this point, and I really am sick of
Yes.
him.
It's very annoying.
So, anyway, let's talk about JJ and Kiara. Um, moving on.
Yes. Moving on. Yes.
So, love, highly anticipated couple
Mhm.
for so many
Mhm.
reasons. And I was rewatching season 1, and then I rewatched a little bit of season 2 when I was with you because you were finishing watching it. And
Mhm.
there were a lot of like hints even from the early on seasons, like, and I don't
Mhm.
even necessarily think it was like always 100% written. I think it was just kind of meant to be like a, like John B says it, like we all have kind of a thing for her. I think they all kind of just thought like Kiara was cute, they probably
Yeah.
let it.
And she is cute. So
She
I'm like,
is
yeah, of
so cute.
course.
Her hairstyles this season, like
Oh, the
I was like
highlights,
I was like, I
amazing.
want to do that with my hair. She had like a thing like this and then like two little
Mhm.
braids coming down. And I was like, I should do
Mhm.
that. That would be really cute in my hair. So
An
taking
icon.
yeah, taking some inspiration from her fits and looks.
Mhm.
Um and so but I think it's like the way they delivered their lines really impacted it. It was like it felt like there was more. Like even when she kissed John B or when John B kissed her in season 1, and then she was like, "Did you tell JJ?" She could have delivered that line like, "Did you tell JJ?" And then it
Yeah.
would have been more of like a, "Are you gossiping?" But it was like
Right, right.
it was more of like a, "Did you tell JJ?" Like, did
Mhm.
JJ know
Mhm.
we kissed?
Right.
And it gave it this like tone that
Mhm.
I don't think the writers intended, or even when she was in college
Right.
in season 2 and they were in the car in that whole improvised scene where JJ's like, "Is it like freaky because it's Pope?" And she's like, "Ew, stop asking me these questions."
Right. Yeah.
And it's just this like whole like, why do you want to know? Like, why are you so
Mhm.
concerned kind of thing?
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like the writers really capitalized off of like the natural chemistry between the two actors and the
Mhm.
fact that everybody wanted them to be together.
Yeah.
And it was so slow burn. Like there were episodes where they did not even see each
Yes.
other. What did you think of the pacing of that relationship?
I I felt like it was good. Like I was gonna say like it was a good slow burn. They didn't give it to us like right away, which I really liked. Um, because sometimes I worry when like, fans like want someone to be together, like the writers might put them together like right away.
Yeah.
And then like all we see is them basically like making out with each other the entire time. And I'm like, I don't like I like that, but like I like it to build. I
Yeah.
like there to be some good pacing to it. Um, and so I'm glad that like we had like little moments like where it's like, is this about to happen? Is this okay, just kidding, just kidding. It's not happening.
Mhm.
Um, like when they saved Kiara in the first or second episode, I can't remember,
Mhm.
but they saved Kiara after she gets taken by a Sing and like and then like JJ just like takes his hat off like so slow. And I was like, I was like, this is so cute. And I remember telling Kayla, like, I was like, why do I have chills right now? Like, they're
Mhm.
not even doing anything. They're just looking at each other.
Yeah.
And then, like, they hug. And I was like, yeah, this was a great scene. Like, they didn't have to do much. And it was like, oh, this is great.
It was
This
like
is really
Druig and
good.
Makari a little bit. Like they have
Mm-hmm.
so much chemistry and they barely did anything like
Yeah.
the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like the slow burn makes sense for them for a couple different reasons. One, because she was just with Pope like not very long
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Yeah.
So it's and that's like their close friend. So it's like out of
Mm-hmm.
respect. for your friend. You kind of have
Yeah.
you have to tread lightly because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Mhm. Right.
And then also because they're friends, it's like I think it's hard when you realize that someone you like someone who's your friend. Like there's
Yeah.
this weird kind of like middle ground that you have to like tread super lightly on because it's like I can't interpret what you're doing as flirtatious necessarily
Mhm.
because we've always been friends. Like you could just be
Yeah.
really friendly with me. And also, if I like, if I shoot my shot and then you shut me down, that could impact our friendship
And the whole friendship dynamic
and
group,
the
like the group
whole
of
friend group.
the yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, it just puts you in this weird position where you have to like slowly inch your way out of
Mhm.
friend territory.
Yeah.
Um, and it's awkward. And then on top of that, you have Kiara's freaking dad, like, telling JJ basically it kind of reminded me of The Notebook when her parents were like, "He's
Mhm.
coming for you, he's"
Yeah, like he's trash.
and
Yeah.
just like his dad, which
Mhm.
is such a horrible thing to say. Um, I'm glad that man did not appear because I did not need another problematic dad this
Yeah,
season.
no. I'm glad he was gone as soon
No,
as he was like, I'm leaving and going to this place. I was like, good riddance.
right. I do not want to see your face ever again, Luke Maybank.
No.
Thank you. Um, yeah, so I think it was like all of that together. It got into his head. Like even that season where they're like, he's like, "What are we doing here?" Not season, that scene. He's like, "What are we doing here?" When they're off
Mhm.
like in the field.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're like a kook, and I'm a pogue, and blah 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 blah," and just this
Yeah.
whole.
He does this whole like self-sabotaging
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I remember telling Kayla that she's like, is it really? I was like, yes, he's trying to make sure that like she doesn't like him and want to
Yeah.
be with him because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't think he's worthy or like deserving to be with her.
Yeah.
So he's going to make it seem like he hates her or like, try to insult her in a way to push her away from that idea. Self
Yeah.
sabotage.
For sure, because obviously he likes her. Like
Yeah.
every single time that she was in danger, he was like, "I'm going. I
Yep.
will be finding her
He was
immediately."
like, yeah, y'all can go without me. I'm going. Like, it
Right.
doesn't matter. Like, he's like, we don't leave unless everyone is accounted for,
Yeah.
essentially,
Basically,
and especially her.
especially
So,
her. Yeah, I think that was very on brand for his character too, because he's dealing with a lot of insecurity still, partially because of
hmm
his dad and the way that he was raised,
yes,
and like,
his dad literally always told him he was a piece of crap.
yeah, and then it's being
Yeah.
echoed and reaffirmed by Kiara's dad, so it's just like
Yeah.
this repeating cycle. Um,
Yeah. And that's why him like taking Kiara's dad's wallet or the money clip or whatever and like doing stuff out of like the response to that is like that's a normal response when you're used to being told that. You're just kind of it's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
it
It's like,
is,
oh, well, if everyone already thinks that, then I might as well just prove them right.
yeah. I very much do think it's self-sabotage. Even the scene where she's like, "I love you," and he's like, "Great, thanks. Like, I'll see you again if I ever see you again." And I was like, "JJ,
Yeah.
what are we doing in this house of God right now?"
Literally, why are you acting like this?
It was just like his response. Me and Julie were sitting there like, I cannot believe that those were the words that just came out of his mouth.
But
Great,
also
thanks.
it was also in a way where he was just kind of like shocked, like taken
Yeah,
aback by it. Like he was just like, "What? I mean, cool. Like
right.
thanks. But like I have to go."
Yeah,
Like so yeah.
yeah. I don't think
He was
he
just it basically was just like I don't have time to process this right now.
no. But I will say the scene where she tells him that she loves him and he says, "I love you back." I think on her part, it shows a lot of maturity because
Mhm.
him reacting that way, she could have taken that so personally and been like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
I hate him. We're never going to speak again.
Mhm.
Jerk."
Mhm.
And like now I'm scared to even try things with him again because he rejected me. But I think she was
Yeah.
able to see past the situation of like, you're reacting like this, and it's not even because of what you're saying, it's because of all the situational factors. So for her to give him that chance again, especially after he like legit broke into the camp to come and save her,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
thought that that was really I feel like that's what relationships are about. It's like I'm gonna try to see you for where you're at and not out of like the lens of my own insecurities
Yeah.
and pain. So I thought I don't know, I kind of although I kind of wanted him to be the one to say I love you first, thought it was nice that she was the one who said
Mhm.
it first again because it's like I love you and I'm giving you a second chance. Because
Yeah.
of that. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on that little
I
reunion?
think, yeah, I think that moment was a very like gentle moment. And
Hmm.
I really liked that. like I was telling Kayla, I was like, I'm glad that it wasn't this like high emotion moment. Like, of course they're reunited, but it wasn't like the music was swelling and they're just like waiting to like hug each other. Like it was just like came back for her, got her, they hugged, and she, she just said it. Like it was just kind of like, I love you. And he just gently said it back. And then they kissed. And I was like, this is sweet. And I love this.
Everyone
This is a great
cheered.
song. Turn it up.
Right.
No, everyone cheering was literally me. Literally us,
Yeah.
like cheering and then following them to make sure, like to see where they were going. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'd be losing my mind if I saw something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute too that nobody was like running to grab like the authorities. They were just like, "What's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that it's like you guys being so evil has banded these girls together. Like all of them
Yeah.
sitting up in slow motion, being like,
Yes. Even that one girl that was like, looked like, oh my God, a boy.
"Yeah,
Like she's like, a boy's here? What's
yeah."
happening?
I loved that. I was like, "Yes, female loyalty. Like we're not gonna be narcs, and then we're gonna cheer when this like nice moment
Mm-hmm.
happens." So yeah, I thought that was like a nice moment. The one,
Especially because they could have reacted much differently because of how JJ even just looked in there. Like his face was half covered and he's
yeah,
like crouching, like in the dark. If I woke up inside that, I would not calmly be like, what are you doing here? I would have been like, who the hell are you?
yeah,
Like, what are you doing in here?
yeah.
So,
So yeah, the one thing, oh, and then the scene where they got onto the airplane, I actually feel like I like that scene more than the scene where they kiss, where they're just like
mm-hmm.
looking at each other and like the
Yes.
abject joy in both of their faces,
And
and
he's
the tears in the eyes. I
crying.
was like, this is beautiful. Like
I love it.
it's that feeling of like I love someone and they love me back. Like it's so
And I
nice.
almost lost them, but I got them back.
And I almost lost them and I got them back. So I thought that was really cute. The one thing I will say I saw on the internet was about how like because it fast forwarded 18 months, if they've been dating this whole time, we're gonna have missed like the cute little
Mm-mm.
honeymoon
Yeah.
phase. So they better come correct in season 4 is all I have to say
Yes.
about that. Like I would
That
like some
is,
flashback scenes if we're gonna
yep.
constantly be in 18 months.
Or just be consistent and just show us like first scene, mouths touching. Okay. That's all.
Right. I need some cute scenes now that we are together. But yeah, I thought it was wholesome. It was really
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay. Let us end on a very positive note, which is Cleo and Pope, or what is it that you guys have been calling them?
Cleo.
Right, yeah. Every time Kayla says it, she really pops like the P
Yes.
too.
Cleo.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So unexpected but cute. Okay, I want to preface this with by saying this. I Jonathan Davis, who plays Pope, Kayla and I have had this conversation a lot. To me, is a very attractive.
Mm.
And like but as Pope in seasons 1 and 2, I've always been like, this guy is such a dweeb. Like I just
Yes. Very lame
very
energy.
lame, always scared, like fear in Inside Out. I think it's partially the beard because they
Mm.
make him shave his beard and I love beards in the show. And then also like they made him like cut his hair down. And this season
Mm-hmm.
they were on an island. He had to grow his hair out, so that was already point one. And I think
Yes.
point two is that he never had like a good love interest. Like they just put him together with
Yeah.
Madison Bailey in season 2 and it did not work out.
No, it
They
was
had no
a
chemistry.
terrible idea.
It was like actually very brother and sister, like the energy
Yeah.
between them. So
Mm-hmm.
watching them kiss was just like ew. Like
Yeah. I
it was
even hate that they made them like sleep together. I was like,
yeah,
no, that was really dumb.
it
That should have
was.
never happened.
Never. It should have
But
never happened. But this season, it was just like the swag that he had because he was around
mm-hmm.
Cleo, who was
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous, stunning,
Uh,
an amazing actress.
Kayla told me that she's Haitian and Jamaican, and I was like, I love that for me.
Cool.
I love that.
That's really cool. That makes sense as to why she was able to do like the accent so well
Mm-hmm.
too. Because when I heard her speak,
Yeah.
I was like, she doesn't have an accent. OMG. Like but I just feel like they allowed him to really have a personality this
Mm-hmm.
season.
Mm-hmm. I'd
Which I'm,
agree.
I'm glad because they were just doing JD like a disservice. I feel like the past 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and he just as Pope became so much more attractive because of that.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
what do you think about that?
I agree. I think him being around Cleo was a very good character development
Mm-hmm.
tool. Um, I think like even like I think on season 2 when they had like a little bit of banter going, I was like, hold on.
Mm,
Wait a minute. There's
right.
something happening here. And then like season 3 starting off with like, them just still having like that banter, like little looks here and there. I was like, what's happening here?
Right.
Like, even the fact that like when the plane came, like it was the two of them that went together. I was like, I love this. This is a
Hmm.
great song, a great interlude, if you will.
Right.
Um, and like, yeah, just all their like him having her stay at his house. And I was like, oh, so she's gonna be in your room? You
Right.
guys are gonna share a
Look at my bed.
bathroom? I was really hoping we would get a scene where like she like goes to the bathroom and he's like coming out because he has to take a shower. I would really like that for like the Wad Pat girly and
Yeah,
me
yeah.
to
Hmm.
like see that. Like she walks in and he's like walking out and he's in a towel and she's like, oop, and he's like, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
I would have really loved that, but it's fine. But yeah, their build was great to
It
me.
was
Like,
amazing.
and you could argue like why would they do it in this one season, but I'm like, but how they built it was really great to
Yeah.
me. It didn't feel too rushed in my
No.
opinion. And like even her being like, let's just be in the no club, like no love club, and I was like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
okay, I
Like
see
this
what
is
you're
giving
doing.
Wattpad. It really is.
Yes.
Like,
She's like, no love club, like this, we'll just do that. Or no love for either of us. And I was like, uh-huh, sure.
hmm.
You guys are the only two members. How interesting.
Right. So funny.
How had that happened?
Right.
Um, and so yeah, when they like, you know, finally, like it was such a cute moment when they finally like kissed because she was like, so that like no love club, I quit. And I was
Hmm.
like, period.
It was
And
so
then
cute.
it was so cute. And I love that she didn't like full on like try to kiss him. She just like kissed his cheek. And then he was like, there
Yeah.
we go,
You and Caleb were like, kiss
segue.
her, kiss her, kiss her.
We literally were screaming.
Screaming.
I was like, because I started falling asleep during that episode
Yeah, yeah.
because
It was long.
it was long and it was getting like late, and I was like, oh, I'm getting tired. It's starting to bore me a little bit because it was when they were doing the whole El Dorado
El
thing, and I was like, I
Dorado. It
don't
was like
care.
20 minutes of that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. And
Fun.
so I started falling asleep. And so then I sat up. And then that was when it happened. And I was like, wow, I am so energized right now. I have energy again. Like that just fed me. Like they were, and I was telling Kayla, I was like, you know what they're doing this season? They're breadcrumbing us. They're just dropping little specks of crumbs. And I
Yeah.
am just collecting them into one good loaf of love.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to feed my soul. And
But
they did exactly that.
I like that because it's like they built it up. So even just like the one kiss, like it was enough for me because I would have rather that than like what you said about JJ and Kiara than have them at the beginning of the season just like hooking up.
Hmm.
I hate that trope so much, by the way, when people
Yeah.
are like, we're just gonna be friends with benefits. I hate it. It just ruins the
Hmm.
chemistry immediately for me.
Yeah.
But to watch them like be there for each other. And again, like for her to bring out like the silly in him, like that scene where he pulls out the accent in the shop.
Yes.
That
I
was the
love that.
sweetest, cutest thing. And then her making fun of him because obviously like
Hmm.
she in the
Yes.
show has an accent.
Right.
It was just like cute, or like the fake fiance trope, like on the
Yes.
train. Him being like, "What's your name? Jimmy. We're gonna name our first child after you." It was like, Pope, please. I need you to be.
I want you to reel it in. Just really like a second.
Or
Like,
her calling him Pipe throughout the season.
yes.
That's what he introduced
And then
himself.
the one time, I can't remember what scene it was. I think it was after had her be in her room, in his room. Like he
Mm,
showed her the room. And then she said, like, it was after he left, and she was like, thank you, Pope. And I was like, and I turned to Kayla, I was like, that's the first time she said his name, like
right.
his actual name.
I
And
love
I
it.
was like,
Right.
it was great. I loved every scene that they had together. I was like, oh my God, what's about to happen? Like
No,
they were the couple for me. Like I love Kiara and JJ, just like everyone else, but it was feeding
because
me.
it was like it was just came out of nowhere, and it was like this. There's a song I really like by Sleeping at Last and Rita Wilson, and the chorus is like, "Out of thin air, everything I've been looking for is all right here." And that's how I felt about the season. It's like he was at
Hmm.
the beginning he was upset about like Kiara and
Yeah.
JJ, but then it's like just turn around. look at
She's
this
right
cute
there.
girl next to you that is like,
Killing.
and they have so much in common, like, in comparison to him and Kiara in season 2, there's, like, a scene where she's like, "Pope, like, you're not listening to me." But then in this season, when he, rightfully so, loses his mind after finding
Mm-hmm.
Rafe burned on the cross and, like, takes his
Yeah.
gun and, like, has it pointed at Rafe, and, like, she comes and she just very gently, like, consoles him. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"This is really beautiful." Like, they have such
Yeah.
good, not just, like, romantic chemistry, sexual tension, but they're able to, like, be there for each other in these really
Mm-hmm.
hard moments, and I'm so glad they didn't have them kiss in that scene because it would have been really annoying,
Yeah.
because he was in a very vulnerable state. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like that she was able to really think about it and be like, "No, actually, like, I like you, and I'm gonna do something about that." The women in this season,
Ah, carried.
bold,
Carried.
amazing,
Love.
incredible, 10 out of 10 experience.
Yes.
The men in the
No.
season, lots of them are making very questionable decisions.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I just thought, yeah, I thought they were like a really, they're like that couple that's like really wholesome and sweet, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
And they were holding hands at the end. I don't know if you
mhm,
peeped,
I did.
but like they like panned, across and they had hands clasped. Okay. I was like, period. We love to see it. I
Yeah,
hope they get married.
I
I was,
right, for real, not on the
yeah.
scene with a little
No, no,
costume
no,
like
no.
John
I
B.
was like, I want a cute little ceremony. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the couples this season really showed up, John B and Sarah. Like, that's partially why when all that
Yes.
love triangle stuff was happening, I was like, I really don't care. I wanna know what's happening with
No,
the other couples.
literally, me and Kayla were talking about this in the car yesterday, which we told you like the analogy. She was like, JJ and Kiara were already the cake, like they were the cake that we were like, wow, they're so cute. We love to see it. And then Cleo and Pope were just like the icing on top. Like it was like this cake didn't really need icing, but this icing
Mhm.
is giving. Like it's just adding a little bit more
Yeah,
flavor. And then I was like, Sarah and John B were like the birthday candles you take off the cake after you blow them out. You're kind of like,
or they're gonna
yeah,
start
okay,
melting onto the cake and
yeah,
then
we don't
you're
really
like,
need
"There's wax
this
on the
anymore.
cake
They're
now."
just, yeah, just there
Yeah,
on the side. That's how I felt about the
right.
couples.
And Topper
And
was
I
the
feel like
little kid
that
who tried to spit on
analogy.
the cake.
Topper's the kid that tried to blow the candles out before the kid whose actual birthday it is tried to
Mhm,
blow the candles out.
mhm.
That's who Topper was. But yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. If you could like put all the couples in an analogy, that's how I felt about this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, no, yeah, so I loved that for him, and I just hope that they get more of a plot, and I hope that they keep Cleo forever, like you said at the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
this. I think she's a great addition, and it just I love, like, the found family of it all,
Mm-hmm.
especially because half
Mm-hmm.
of them have, like, no parents now.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
really need each other,
Yeah.
so, and I think now that it's fast forwarded 18 months, I think now they're, like, legal adults, which will be great because then
Yes.
no
Yep.
child protective services will be coming after me.
Lord, like all these adults trying to kill these kids.
That'll still
Like,
probably happen, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, they're still like very young. So yeah, of course it'll still happen. But like,
yeah,
let's like calm down for
let's
like
please.
5 seconds, please.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
so
the El Dorado plotline itself, I was kind of like, I don't
meh.
really care.
I was like, oh, so y'all are saying El Dorado's real cool. Like, I really don't care. Because
I
again, none of this belongs to you. So
yes, that last scene, not last scene, but the last couple of scenes too, where they were like hunting for it and they're out in the jungle. I was like, this is too long. Like
yeah,
this is going on for too long, and I
yeah.
really actually don't care. I have no stake in this. Like if you find it or if you don't
Mm-mm,
find it, I actually don't care. I just want to know if
mm-mm.
everybody else is gonna survive and be together. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I think it was a good season and they have really good content to capitalize upon in the
Mm-hmm.
future. And I just hope that they do that and don't do anything crazy like kill off a character I like. Um,
Yeah. I really, no, they can't. I really don't want them to. No. I don't even want to think about it.
mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So we will see. We'll see what happens. And they already got renewed for season 4 before season 3 even
Yeah,
came
yeah, I did
out.
see that.
Yeah.
I
So
wonder if like season 4 will be kind of like them just going on different adventures, if that makes sense. If there's gonna be like one main one. I know the Blackbeard thing is like what they kind of like hinted at, but I was like, what if that's just kind of like a thing that they're used to doing? Like in the last year and a half, maybe a bunch of people have just been like, I need you to look into this treasure for me. And they're like, cool, sure.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wonder if that was just kind of like, oh, this is the adventure we're going on next season, or it's just kind of like, this is kind of like what season 4 is going to be like. Like, I have an offer and I need you to do this for me.
Yeah.
Because that guy was just kind of like, hey, I have this offer I'd like to give you. And they're like, sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll see. I like it
I
kind of
still want
being
Pope to get redemption for his family, though.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I like it being kind of national treasury. I just hope it doesn't become like super gimmicky, you know? Like kind of like Riverdale, like what Kayla was saying when we were watching it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't become like that, like a I don't know,
Yeah.
weird magically kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want them to
Hmm.
keep it as
I
realistic as it can
agree.
be. And yes, I agree that Pope absolutely deserves reparations for what was taken from him.
Yes.
Um, so we'll see what happens with that because Rafe still has his gold, like the gold that was
Hmm.
Rafe and Barry both still have his gold. So like,
Barry, I think, is like pretty much dipped after that last episode because Rafe was like, he's like, I want to call off the hit. And he was like, oh, it's too late. Like,
mhm.
it's already going to happen. And then it was like, as soon as Rafe was leaving us, like, Barry, like, ran into his, like, trailer. So I was like, that man probably is out of here.
Yeah, yeah. So overall, should I would say watch it. It's a good season. I mean, if you have listened to us this far, you know everything that happens. But I mean, I'll
Yeah.
probably rewatch it because there were a lot of good scenes. I'll probably skip every
Hmm.
single Big John scene, um,
Yes.
just the scenes I like. But do you have
Hmm.
anything else that you wanted to say before we wrap it up for today?
I would just say I give it an 8 out of 10.
Hmm. I feel like I agree with that. Yeah, because if there were a lot of like slow moments,
Hmm.
and they could have shown more of like the couples that we cared about. Not even necessarily in couple form, just like
Yeah. Just interactions.
hmm Big John got too much screen time for me.
Yes, I would agree. I would definitely agree on that one. We
Yeah,
didn't need as much as we got from him. We
no.
really didn't.
Well, that's it from us for now. Thank you for listening. And let us know what you guys' thoughts are, and we'll see you next time on Aim with Him. Bye.
Bye.